I come from the private sector. I've spent over 25 years as an executive managing manufacturing for high volume consumer electronics. And through my career, I've been moving manufacturing lines, setting up industrial parks, rerouting supply chains. So my perspective about global competitiveness comes from actually doing the work of landing in a country and being the actual responsible of managing operations of a particular manufacturing site. Studying the interaction of innovation and production is fascinating to me. And even more fascinating to me is what's happening these days related to innovation. The speed of innovation is unprecedented. The Internet of Things, the cloud, 3D printing, sensors. With all that, what I see is that technology is really socialized. Some years ago, technology was just for an elite. And these days, technology, our kids use more technology than us. And technology is perceived as a way of ourselves. We wear technology. Fashion is really important. Design is really important. How we design the products becomes really critical for the companies because it really promotes sales, right? So when you think about Cali Baja, we have an advantage here in terms of our border location because being here so close to our market, it facilitates the co-location of R&D teams and the MPI teams. And why is that relevant? It is relevant because if you want to innovate fast, you really need to speed your new product introduction processes. And the way to do that is by collaboration, fast decision making, and all that interaction between teams. That is only possible when those teams are co-located. And it's true that companies are co-locating their teams also in Asia, but it's mainly to reduce travel expenses and all other things and to be close to that market. Here we can do that. We can actually work in reducing how fast we launch product, and work in areas related to design for supply chain and design for manufacturing. And what that will do is it will allow us to really compete better because time to market is critical. Cali Baja has, I would say, 4 very clear advantages. One is that, of course, we have access to two growth markets, U.S. and Mexico. And to reach those growing markets, it only takes us 1 day versus the 25 days of ocean ship by China. So that access to the markets allow the companies to carry less inventories and really manage well that cycle of seasonality. And with the technologies that we are having these days, that there is so much fashion and so many customizations, when you have those shorter transit times, you really control well your inventories versus manufacturing from China. Another advantage is co-location. Well, co-location of R&D and the MPI teams. When that happens, you shorten your decision making through the MPI process, and you're able to innovate faster, which is really critical for time to market. And that is an opportunity we have here in Cali Baja. And another opportunity, as you mentioned before, is protection of IP. When we are here in the region, we have a higher protection of our intellectual property, and our inventions can be longer in the market. Primarily, I see 3 challenges, right? Infrastructure is one. Local sourcing is important because when you are manufacturing, you want your suppliers to be part or be in sync with your manufacturing production capacity. And having your local manufacturers there help you with really streamlining your manufacturing processes. Another challenge is access to Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers. When you depend with suppliers based overseas, you need to deal with higher inventory of parts that you have to purchase, and they're in transit to your location. And when there's problems, then those in terms of earthquakes or any kind of disruption of the supply chain, it takes you longer to recover. So having a supplier base that is closer to your factory and that is diverse is really beneficial for companies. And the third challenge, I would say, is talent overall. Talent is very needed. And the important piece here is really aligning the need of talent with the production of talent. And for that is when the conversations with universities and institutions really become critical, because the industry knows what's happening and what are the needs, and the universities are the ones that are creating that talent for the future. So that alignment process is really important. I'm really enthusiastic about Cali Baja. We are really well positioned to compete globally, as you have seen with all the comparative analysis. We have certain issues, right, that we need to resolve, but we are well positioned from a competitive perspective. Now, the challenge is on our end. How are we going to manage our advantages and disadvantages? And how are we going to collaborate to really make that happen? There is an African say that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.